Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name's Shay. This is my first ever YouTube video, so please bear with me. Today I'm going to be drawing a cat with chalk pastels. I'm using the Faber Castell pencils, as well as a couple of the Stabilo Carbothello pencils, and then the Faber Castell Soft Pastels, or just the black one. The paper I'm using is a brand called Stonehenge, I believe. I bought it many years ago at my local arts store, so I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but I'm pretty sure it's called Stonehenge. It's a lot smoother than you might think most people use for a chalk pastel, but that's just what I like. So I'm doing an 8 by 10, so I'm just cutting the paper to size. Once I'm done cutting it, I'm just going to secure it in my clipboard. And I like to use, I have a little pre-cut piece of paper that is the exact size of what you see inside the matting once it's framed. So I always like to use that so I know exactly like how it's going to be framed in the matting. Now I'm just getting out the colors that I'm gonna use today, which pretty simple, just black, grays, and white, and then 2 shades of green and a yellowish gold kind of color, and then our 1 stick of black. And then I'm trying to sharpen my pencils with just my regular old sharpener, which doesn't work very well. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Alright. So now we're getting into the sketching. So I'm just trying to do a quick rough outline before we get started. But as you'll see in a second, I totally mess it up. So gotta erase it and restart, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to. And then I'm just kind of fast forwarding through this because I messed it up again. But of course I got through most of the sketch before I realized that it wasn't centered how I wanted it. So I erase it again, and then we'll do the actual outline. 3rd time's a charm, right? So this isn't like a tutorial or anything, because I definitely wouldn't say I'm an expert with chalk pastels. I have used them for many years now, mostly for pet portraits. I really like how they layer compared to like colored pencils. So now I'm using the soft pastel stick and just kind of roughly went over the background, and then I use my fingers to like blend everything out and smooth it all out nicely. Now I wish I didn't do this but I did because it's been a while since I've done a portrait in this style, and I used to always use this really cheap black paper that wasn't black like this, the nice Stonehenge stuff. So it just kind of made the background a little uneven, and you'll see me struggle with this a bit more later on, but oh well, we'll work through it. So now finally starting on the eyes. So I'm just using a white, and then I'm using the 2 green shades and the yellow shade for the eyes. And after I sharpen my pencils, I like to just wiggle them in the paper towel to get the excess dust off of them. So I'm trying to explain everything I'm doing, just because, honestly, I don't really know what else to talk about. But if you're an artist that uses chalk pastels, like the pencils, and if you have any tips or tricks or suggestions, like please let me know. Like I just kind of picked them up and started using them one day and figured it out as I went along. So how I do it might be weird. Again, that's why this isn't a tutorial. But I have learned that it's always best to start with the, like if you're doing a highlight in the eye, to start with white first. And then like don't try to layer your white on top of the eye after the fact, because you just won't get that like same color payoff unless it's like directly on the paper. So that's why you see me going in with the whites first. And then afterwards I'll go in and start layering the yellows and greens and kind of going back and forth with my colors. Also, sorry this isn't centered. Like I said, first video, when I was recording, I did not realize when I zoomed in that it wasn't centered. And yeah, I'm really annoyed by that. But at least it's still in the frame, so you can still see what I'm doing. And apologies for the lighting. I know it's kind of coming in and out a bit, but it's because I'm filming in front of my window and it was cloudy. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit because I'm work on the eyes for quite a while because it's my favorite part. And I like to use at least 2 or 3 colors plus like white and black when I'm doing the eyes, just to give it lots of dimension. And you know, because like when you look at anyone or anything's eyes, it's not just one color, like there's always several tones in there. And I really want the eyes to pop on this, of course, so yeah, that's why I like going with like outlining in black and like bright whites around there, just for that high contrast, because that's really what we're doing here, is just like very simplified, like minimalistic, high contrast portrait, right? And for my reference photo, I just literally went online, searched copyright free black cat pictures, and this image was one of my favorites, of course, so that's why I decided to do this one. Although I do wish I had changed the left eye and made it a little more, I don't know, done a little more with it, like, because I was following the reference pretty closely, and I'm still happy with it, obviously, but if I were to do it again, I would definitely do it a little differently. So for this next clip, I realized I just forgot to film, so kind of missed out on the upper half of the face. But yeah, I just kind of started with like my more mid to light tone gray and did a lot of that, like the base of the fur and the ears that you can see, and then over top just with a white to highlight a little bit. And now I'm going in with the stick again and just trying to like deepen the color around it, because I didn't do the whole background, obviously. I just went around what I had sketched before. And then I'm just refining the left eye a little bit more. Now that I've done the other side, I wanted to, yeah, just add a little bit more color. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to talk about here. This part isn't too exciting, but yeah, just lots of blending and refining and more blending and just back and forth and back and forth. But I guess I could talk about my plans for the channel. I really like watching like really chill art videos, you know, with people talking while they work. So that's kind of what I wanted to do as well. You know, I really like the idea of like having people drawing while they're watching my videos. So I hope you're drawing or sketching or painting or doing something creative. And if you are, please let me know. I would love to know what you're working on. Oh yeah, so back to what I'm doing here. So trying to do these, like any kind of whiskers, is always stressful because you have to do like really quick little strokes to get those like long, smooth lines. And like these little eyebrow whiskers are one thing, but you'll see later once I get to the actual like face whiskers, they're a struggle because they're a lot longer. There's more of them. But yeah, now I'm just going in around the nose with the stick again to try and like deepen it a little bit, because when I did the background at first I just went around my sketch lines, so it was a little patchy on the inside there. And now I'm gonna start on the nose. So while I'm working on that, I guess I could tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from a city called Medicine Hat in Alberta, Canada. My day job / career is I'm a hairstylist and educator, and I've been doing that for over 13 years now. But I've always loved doing art, as long as I can remember. And for several years, I used to take commissions for pet portraits, and I would do them with chalk pastels. But they were not like this black and white dramatic vibe. It was more just regular lighting, like realism. But I stopped doing it after a few years. I guess I just kind of got bored of doing it. So these days, I focus on enjoying art as a hobby and just working on things that I really want to work on. So I tend to kind of dabble in a little bit of everything. Like, I enjoy sketching, I like chalk pastels, obviously, I like painting. I've been getting more into digital art in the last few years, and even like sculpting. Like, I love pottery, but it's hard to do that at home. I can't justify buying a kiln and glaze and all the materials and stuff, just for fun right now. But yeah, I've done quite a few sticker designs. I've done like a few Minecraft ones because I love Minecraft, and a few Critical Role designs. If you're a D&D fan, you probably have heard of Critical Role. I'm a huge fan, of course. And then I have a couple more random designs, and those are all on my Redbubble at the moment. At some point I would like to have my own website and maybe sell stickers myself, but for now, just Redbubble. And I really want to do more like digital art. I really like doing like character design, especially D&D characters. So yeah, maybe in the next video we'll do something like that, or it'll be just sketching. We'll see. So maybe I'll talk a little bit more about what I'm doing right now. So yeah, just going in with that like medium light gray pencil and starting to put in the like rough shape of everything. I'm still doing like those little hair strokes, just to give us that nice texture, keep it more, realistic. Yeah, for this one I mostly used this color and white for everything, because if I wanted it any darker, then I would just kind of blend it out a bit. But I still use the darker tones for a few areas where I want it to be, I guess, more solid and saturated looking without looking too blended out. But yeah, the blendability of chalk pastels is like a huge pro, but also a big con, because it blends out really easily, but that means it also smudges extremely easily, which makes it really stressful for shipping or anything like that, because you don't want it to smudge like in transit or anything like that. And you can't really ship it framed because it's too fragile. And you can use like fixative sprays and stuff, but I find they're tricky because if you do too much, it'll like saturate the chalk and kind of make it disappear. So you have to do like be very light-handed with it and do really, really thin coats. So I don't really use fixative sprays anymore. I just like to put them in a frame immediately and make sure they're nice and secure so they don't move, and then they're protected. So you can see here I'm just kind of smudging out this side of the face because it was a little too bright for what I wanted there. So I just smudged it out a bit with my finger. Same with the chin and stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of putting down some lines or texture and then blending it a little bit and, you know, like refining everything. Like here I'm trying to add a little bit of like a subtle texture to the nose because animal noses have that texture to them. And more blending. And I like to wipe my finger off on the paper towel just so it's not gonna transfer anything back onto, like anything lighter back onto the picture. Oh yeah, so you can see I kind of smudged I was trying to blend out the whisker a little bit on the base of it, but it kind of like took off some of the background, like that dark black. So I just rubbed my finger like directly on the soft pastel stick and then went back over that to blend it out, and that worked well. And now the most stressful part is doing the majority of the whiskers on the right side here. So as you can see, I'm trying to do those quick, long strokes, but I keep messing them up. And I'm like trying to change how I'm holding the pencil, but that didn't really help. And yeah, like look at that. So at least we can just smudge it out. I just grabbed a little more of the soft pastel off the stick with my finger and then used that to buff it out, and then we'll just try again here. And nope. Yeah, I go through this a few times here. Like, this one whisker is just giving me so much trouble. But I get it eventually. There we go. I think I'm happy with that now. And I'm just softening up the tips a little bit so they look more like tapered. So now we're done the stressful part. I'm just gonna refine the left eye a little bit more, and then we're almost done. So yeah, I'm just trying to make that line nice and clean. And then, even though you don't really see it, I'm still going in like trying to get like a hint of a pupil. Even though it's really subtle, I think it just adds a little more depth to it. And then just kind of going in, trying to add some more texture with the black. And yeah, it doesn't really look like I'm doing anything, but and then also with the dark gray, I'm going around on the left side of the face, just trying to give like, yeah, like the most faint impression of what's there. And then I kind of just blend it out a little bit, you know, lots of just refining things, smudging. I'm doing the same thing with the ear on top, just trying to like put in the faint shape / impression of the ear and then blending it out a bit. So just add a little more dimension to the piece overall. And then there's that one little white spot, so I'm just gonna knock it back with the dark gray. And that's it. We're all done. This is the finished piece. I think because it's so dark, it was hard to get my camera to focus on it properly and actually make it look black instead of this kind of washed out. Like, it looks a lot better in person, but I have another clip at the end here that's better, so you can see. But yeah, now I'm just cleaning up, organizing a bit. My pencil case that I'm using is just an old, like, Derwent, like, graphite pencil case that I have had for years, and I just cut out some of the inside pencil holder part, so there's room for like the sharpener and stumps and everything that I've got on the one side. But yeah, I just like that it keeps my pencils nice and secure and organized because I like to keep them in a certain order. And all my stickers now that I put on there, I think only the rainbow Minecraft bee, like that one I got off Redbubble, but the rest of them are just really old stickers that I got randomly. So, and then yeah, I love my kneadable eraser because it doesn't leave behind crumbs when you're erasing. And then I have this little swatch card that I made. There's one for the black paper and one for the light gray paper, you can see. So that's just so I have a reference of all my colors that I always use because I pretty much only use the black or the light gray paper for any kind of like animal portraits. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for you today. Just finished cleaning up and then have like one good shot of the finished piece. And I even took it outside to try and get good natural lighting, but that didn't work too great. But I put it in here anyway. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you next time.